And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. This is Gerald Glasser coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. On this week's episode, I just dropped earlier today, I had our May TV report with Don Fobbs for the Mother Daughter Ish podcast. And in honor of May the 4th, I did have a discussion with Cool Bro of all people. So I did get visual proof that he is not a 60-year-old man. He is a 15-year-old young man who did have some thoughts on the Star Wars universe. Didn't win the debate, but he did have some thoughts on if Star Wars can continue to go ahead and reach future generations. So that was discussion that I wanted to go ahead and get across. So definitely looking forward to seeing if you can check out the latest Pop Culture Cosmos, wherever you get your podcasts and on radio stations worldwide. Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Last week, we dropped a new episode covering the NFL draft, the winners and losers. I know that I've had a network that was reaching out to us on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. I have to go ahead and get back to them, see if we're interested in being part of their network. We'll see. But again, it is Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Also as well, of course, Joe Soro. He said he'd be here. I don't know where he's at. He's doing some sin blading at sinblades with y.com. Also as well, of course, you know, he loves to complain as Oxide247 at LakersBall.com. Also as well, of course, the man right next to me, it is, of course, John Costa. Please go ahead and check out what he's doing today. He's feeling better, which is always a good thing. And make sure you go ahead and check out, now that he is feeling better, his channels, of course, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Also as well, of course, our good friend Stone Hansen, who is doing his best to give you the inside scoop on what's going on with the NBA draft prospects right there at report_court. Cool Bro, I'm going to give his YouTube channel a shout out. Please go ahead and do that. He's got a short that's gotten over 6,000 views. And he did a report on Free Comic Book Day. So go ahead and check out the Cool Bro channel on YouTube. Plus also, of course, our friends Lakers in 5, who had I usually don't say things because Lakers in 5 does really a good job of bringing in a good audience, but Monty Williams as the next head coach was their latest video. I think he's got an ironclad 10-year contract, I think, at Detroit. Don't think that's going to be possible. In fact, he's one of the best paid coaches in the NBA. So I don't think that's happening. But okay, you know, Lakers in 5 has some good stuff otherwise. Also as well, of course, Empire Jeff TV. Of course, our good friend as well, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, and of course the John McKaylian channel, and of course support all these great channels, plus also as well everything that we do here at the Lakers Fast Break. I will change my name to Gerald Glassford from Jamie Sweet. Please go ahead and support the Lakerholics. Speaking of Jamie Sweet, him and Laker Tom were on earlier today, and of course Laker Tom feeling the Laker tea leaves. I'm starting to warm up to the idea, everyone out there, that JJ Reddick is going to be a great candidate for the Lakers. That's what he said, paraphrasing, mind you, at Laker Tom on Twitter. So go ahead and hear the Lakers hysteria that, you know, Laker Tom has fallen under right there. There, and also as well, Lakerholics.com. All right. Yes, he is, well, Alice, it was a running joke that we had said for weeks now that Cool Bro was over 60, was a 60-year-old man hiding in his mom's basement. So there is actual visual proof that he is 15, Alice. So we were just joking with him on that. We always try to mess with him like he tries to mess with us. But, you know, we love you, Cool Bro. I know that not everybody in the chat does, but we love you here at the Lakers Fast Break. But it is, of course, Gerald Glassford, thank you so much for joining us. JJ Reddick is one of the main topics of discussion. Why is JJ Reddick one of the main topics of discussion? Although he's probably somewhere on some podcast, even his own, cutting down the 80s and 90s players of yesteryear. So, yeah, plumbers and all that. So, according to him, he's also a candidate for the Charlotte and the Lakers head coaching gigs. Is this a viable possible reality for the Lakers? I'll discuss that today. Plus, we have a myriad of things to talk about, including the NBA playoffs and a message I have for Michael Malone. Who is your daddy now? He in Minnesota. I'll just leave it at that. But we'll go ahead and talk about the NBA playoffs. Plus, also as well, the Rookie of the Year voting. Why this pisses me off even more when it comes to Rob Pelinka's incompetence. Also, as well, of course, the gifts that we just gave Tyrone Lue and Jason Kidd, and then of course also as well some other stuff right here. And yeah, Pat Riley. Pat Riley, did he just send Jimmy Butler back? I know that's a topic on Clutch Talk. I know that he's going to talk about, but a good man is here indeed. It is the guy behind Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. It is, of course, also as well the man that does a lot of great work here. It is John Costa. John, great to have you here. Frank, I was hoping you would come in. We mentioned you on the email earlier today. Frank, I want to ask you this before I get it over to John. Should Jason Kidd be thanking the Lakers for his contract extension? And if that's the case, how did it make you feel when you heard the news that he got a contract extension? I want to hear that in the chat. The best Lakers chat room that's out there. It's the Lakers Fast Break. But Frank, I have a feeling Frank is not the most enthused by that. But John, great to have you here, my friend. Bringing you on now. You know Darvin Ham was fired. You texted back for me. It almost brought you back from the grave from feeling so sick and so ill. Just the fact that, you know what, no medicine made you feel better. Not even the love of your girlfriend and your daughter made you feel good enough. It was the fact that the Lakers fired Darvin Ham that brought you back to life, my friend. Admit it. It's okay. You can admit it.
That is exactly what brought me back to life. And I'll be honest, I was really sick the last couple of I would say honestly the last like 2 weeks, but that was the best news to get. And for everyone, that's why I was out. That's why I couldn't join the lives, because I just was coughing and throwing up, and it was all bad. Had fevers and everything, but your boy's back. And like how Gerald said, when I was sick, the best news that I got, I rolled over out of bed, looked at my phone and said, Lakers have parted way with Darvin Ham. I had a party. I felt like we won a championship. I felt like it was the first move for us to win a championship. It was the first move for us to go ahead and rebuild in the right direction. So, man, honestly, I love to see it. I don't know how you guys feel about the whole JJ Reddick thing or not. I know he'd be a first-time head coach, especially in the league. But me personally, I rave about JJ Reddick all the time. Think he's a genius. He's a genius. So would love to see it, but it's not always being a genius and X's and O's doesn't always translate to being an NBA head coach, because there's just so much more that goes into the games than X's and O's. But I'm sure we'll get into that as we go along. But chat, happy to see y'all, man. Happy to be here.
Alice was asking the question, why does the national media think that it was unfair for Ham to get fired? I just think they see everything in broad strokes. When you're a national reporter, you're covering 30 teams as opposed to one, mainly like we do, John. You and I both have NBA knowledge. We have NBA talk that we do. In fact, today that's what we're going to do. But for the most part, we cover and look at one specific team. So we analyze and see every single game. So we know the mistakes and the pitfalls and the traps constantly that Darvin Ham put himself into each and every time out. We are convinced that if there had been another coach, a competent coach, a decent coach, a good coach in the mix, we could have earned another 4 to 6 wins, I'll say. Let's just put it at 5 wins extra this season, that would have put the Lakers in a much different position going forward in the playoffs, and they could still be playing right now. But again, there's a myriad of factors. It's not just the coach; it's the players, uh, the general manager, ownership. It's, as Eric says, and I have said continuously, it's an organizational blame throughout the organization. But Ham was one of the weaker points of this organization, and they're looking to go ahead and make a change now. I don't know if JJ is the answer. Again, I could kind of squeamish when the fact that you're bringing in a player with zero experience, but he does have LeBron's ear. He might have AD's ear because I guess what was tweeted out by Laker Tom is that the organization is going to consider strongly, rumor has it, that AD will have a say in this new coach as well. If that's the case, I believe Reddick does have their ears as of now. So I am inclined to say that he is I don't want to say a betting favorite, but he is someone that could be up there in consideration, whether I like it or not.
Yeah, whenever I talk about the Lakers, and I say this on my Lakers channel all the time, this season, the analogy that I use for it is it's a big old pizza, right? It's a big old pizza. In pizzas, you can cut into pieces, right? You can cut some pieces bigger than others, or some pieces will be smaller than others. And I think that there is a huge organizational issue as to what happened with Lakers this year. And like how Gerald said, you can point to LeBron just punting games. You can point to front office and the roster construction that we had prior to coming into the season. But I think the biggest piece of all and the biggest piece of blame, in my opinion, would have to be Darvin Ham. I think it would have to be Darvin Ham. Like, granted, like I don't want people to think that LeBron doesn't deserve any. Like, I think LeBron James punching so many games that, like, if he would have been there, we lost by like 5 points. We lost by like 7 points. And LeBron James would have been there and changed the entire trajectory of that game. That changes absolutely everything. So I think, like, LeBron deserves some blame for punching some of those games. I think front office deserves some blame, but most of all, it absolutely is Darvin Ham. And just want to show some love to Antoine Albert here in the chat. He said still wouldn't have beat Denver. Antoine, listen, brother. I don't know who is fit to beat Denver except the Minnesota Timberwolves. As you guys have just been seeing, they are suffocating the Denver Nuggets. And I don't even think that even if we would have had the right coach, we could have beat Denver this year, to be honest with you. But one thing I will say is maybe we wouldn't have even been in a position to play Denver, because with a better coach, making better decisions, calling timeouts when other teams go on runs, understanding rotations, understanding not to go 3 freaking even 4-guard lineups at times, could have won us more games. And hey, maybe we could have ended as a top 6 seed and avoided them. But yeah, just want to just give some love to that comment and give some love to Antoine.
Yes, there you go. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is John Costa, the guy behind Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner, right here with me. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. I don't know where Joe is. He tells me, okay, Joe, what time you want to go? 9, 10 o'clock, or after the game? 10. Okay? Okay. Where the hell is he? I don't know. It's Joe for you. He's simblading. It's simblades with a y.com. Also want to go ahead and say that if that's the case, again, it is not a very attractive list of candidates right now. Nothing just says, wow, that's the guy we got to get for this team. JJ Reddick just does not inspire me. Mike Budenholzer does not.
We should not do that. We should not do that. That would be.
Kenny Atkinson does not inspire me.
Going with Coach Bud would quite literally be like equally to just you should have just kept Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham coached under Coach Bud when he was in Milwaukee, when Coach Bud kept running that damn drop coverage that almost got him fired. So I absolutely would not go with Coach Bud. Honestly, I again, it sounds crazy. I do listen to a whole lot of JJ Reddick, and I think he's serious with his game. So I would give him a chance. I
You know
really
how many
would.
people would want him to fail, though,
So many,
especially that played in
but
the
honestly,
80s and 90s.
but honestly, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. If you come on the Lakers, like, period, like as a coach, as a player, half of the world already wants you to fail. Like, if you just claim anything Lakers, they just ridicule you and want you to fail and want to see your downfall. That's a downfall of being a Laker Nation. Part of being Laker Nation. People just hate on you. They want to see you lose.
He also is under consideration. I believe he has interviewed, if I'm not mistaken, already for the Charlotte position.
JJ?
So if that's the case, he is a viable candidate, regardless of whether you want him as as a candidate or you believe in him as a candidate, John. I think his name is out there enough, and the fact is he does have that rapport with LeBron, and I'm assuming he has some type of rapport with AD. That could be all you need. Again, the Lakers don't always think in conventional wisdom, and hiring a coach right off the street, right out of the podcasting booth with no head coaching experience may be something that the Lakers might do, even if it pisses a lot of people off.
But it's like it's kind of like, and I know we've all been in this situation to where it's like, when you just finished college and you're trying to enter the real world, and they're like, oh, well, we want you to have experience, but you keep getting denied because you don't have experience, right? It kind of feels like that. It's like, so are we just always gonna deny people the chance to be great, deny the people a chance to start something great? Like we have to start somewhere. So I don't know, man. I just think yes, I totally agree. It is a gamble doing it, giving this first-time head coach such big pressure.
What did we do the last time? Gave another first-time head coach. See how that worked out.
Exactly, but I don't think that. I don't think Darvin Ham is as proven as JJ.
I apologize. Sincerely apologize. Monty Williams is not an option. He's on an ironclad contract in Detroit. He is there for another 7, 8, 9 years. He's one of the highest paid coaches in the league.
Before Eric Spoelstra signed his
he was the best paid. He is not going anywhere, one fly. Not going anywhere. So, John, I apologize for interrupting. Go ahead.
You're.
I want to make sure that's stressed to everybody. Monty Williams, Lakers in 5 put it out there earlier today. It's not happening. He is not going to walk away from the second largest contract that's out there.
Yeah, he's not. And
as Kurt Affair said, Kurt Affair's got it best right there.
Exactly. And to show some love to what some people are saying in the chat. I mean, Antoine said if he gets the head coaching job, he'll be gone in 2 years. Honestly, he just might. But you know what else he might do? He might flourish and become a great head coach. I do think, some people are saying your first job as a Lakers head coach is a lot, and I totally agree, because the Lakers, I say this all the time to my brother whenever I talk about basketball. The Lakers are in such a microscope that, like, there's so many players, and I'm sure the same thing applies to coaching as well, that they're good prior to coming to the Lakers. Then they come to the Lakers, then they just have the biggest downfall season of their career, and then they leave the Lakers and they go right back to being good. Perfect example is Lou Williams. Oh my goodness, Lou Williams was a bucket in about every team he played on. When he came to the Lakers, I was like, what Lou Williams is this? And that's because, like, respectfully, not everyone can handle the pressure that it takes being a Laker. So many damn nationally televised games. You're always in the spotlight. If you're freaking like D'Angelo Russell's over here eating snacks on the bench and cameras are panning in on him, all because he's a Los Angeles Laker. I could put my life on the line if he was a Charlotte Hornet. Just wouldn't happen. So I do agree with that. As far as, like, your first time head coaching job being a Laker is a lot of pressure. But you know what, guys? Like, I'm in the belief of, I've seen what he can do, not as a head coach because he's first, this would be a first time head coach, but as far as X's and O's, like I listen to every single one of this man's podcast. This man is a very deep in the game rooted, and he's a sicko. He's a sicko. A lot of sickos usually become coaches because coaches are, you need to be detail oriented. You need to look at every single, like, okay, well, if we did this and they countered, what would we do to that? Okay, what can we counter to their counter? How can we counter to counter to counter to a counter? And I think that J. Cole, I think that JJ Reddick has that on lock. So hey man, I say give the man a chance.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is John Costa along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching and listening. We are talking about JJ Reddick and the possibility of him becoming the next head coach, whether you like it or not. He is a viable candidate. And John, I think it's very advantageous for him because there's not that many candidates. And I like I said before, none of them inspire me. Kenny Atkinson, nice coach with underachieving teams. But when he has a team with stars already, it didn't go so well for him in Brooklyn. So there's that. You have Mike Budenholzer. Yeah, world championship on his ledger. But you see, he taught Ham everything he knows as far as the way to play, to coach basketball. So a similar style would be implemented from what we see now to what we see or what we've seen in the past 2 years from Darvin Ham. More like what we saw this year with Mike Budenholzer as the coach. I'm not sure I love that either. And then you have the myriad of assistants that are out there with the various winning teams from Minnesota, Denver, Boston. Charles Lee has been one of the latest that has mentioned as well. There's been others mentioned throughout the league as far as, it's whoever their agents, if their agents want to get in good, they always spread their name to a woes or Shams to try to get there in. Kelvin Sampson was so funny because he was up for seemingly every single job for years while he's still coaching Houston. And that's because his agent was very good at being, in with Shams and Woj. So getting his name out there, whether or not even that the team actually was thinking about hiring him or not, John. So that's funny. That's called a good agent there for you. But it is a good market for JJ to get a job. I think he will be getting a job, whether he gets it with the Lakers, Charlotte, or something. I think it's a matter of time that he will have found a way to bypass all the hard work or all the things you have to normally do in order to get a head coaching job. He will have found the 2024 way to get as far as in the past, like Pat Riley. He came from the commentary booth. Then he became assistant coach for a short period of time before he became the head coach. We've seen other commentators, ex-players, commentators, then become a head coach. We've seen that before as well. This is the 2024, starting your own podcast, being on your podcast, and getting a head coach. This is the 2024 way of doing it, John.
This is, but also let's. Yes, he's been on a podcast, but let's everyone take a step back. This guy was like a 13-year NBA vet, and he had a solid career. So I feel like, yes, he's been on a podcast. Yes, he's really showed the majority of his skills through the whole Mind the Game and his podcast. If you've been tuned in for some time, but he's also played the NBA for a very long time and has a lot of knowledge. So. I mean, hey, I say, like I said, man, somebody deserves a chance, Somebody gave me a chance once, and I flourished. So let's give JJ a chance, and maybe he can flourish.
I will tell you, though, it's going to be interesting to see if this happens, but I'm not going to put it past the Lakers, John, to make him a coach, because you know what, this is right up Jeannie's alley. This is something that's very Lakerish in how they would do it, and I also think that right now that the head coaching pool, you want to go back to another assistant. You saw how that worked last time for you. You want to go with Mike Budenholzer. You saw he coached a very similar style. He showed Darvin Ham how, he gave him the tree as far as being able to coach his style of coaching. You want Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson, he has that nice underdog story, but once he got a talent-laden team, he couldn't be able to handle it. And then Steve Nash replaced him, and we saw what went from there. So again, the head coaching pool is very sparse, to say the least. So JJ has every opportunity to do it. But if you're trying to warm yourself up to it, like Laker Tom is, I guess you're going to have to do it, because you're going to have to listen to all the JJ Reddick episodes like you did that you can, because there's a very real possibility, John, that he may become the next Lakers head coach, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, there is a good possibility of that. And I love the way Kurt said it in the chat. And shout out my guy Kurt, man. He said listen to JJ's podcast, love his takes and his knowledge, but jumping into a head coach role, like, I don't know. So I mean, hey, I feel like my biggest thing is like, okay, so if we're only gonna go coaches that have experience, then like what's our options? Like, is our options like, wow, this coach has so much experience that we just cannot pass up on him, versus JJ, it's like, all right, well, it's a risk, it's a flyer, but if it works, high risk, high reward. And Jay said, "How about me, John? What you mean, Jay? Do you
give him a shout out? He's here every episode.
Jay, I appreciate you, my brother. But Jay, are you saying you want the head coaching role? Because if you want the head coaching role, go right ahead, my brother."
Yeah, he is not a big fan of JJ, and I can understand his apprehension. I can understand a lot of people's apprehension I have that apprehension, John. I'm just going to be honest with you, because the fact that he has zero head coaching experience. He has zero, NBA level coaching experience. So
I agree, and I agree. And Paul Anthony said it best. Or earlier I said as well, like, it's a lot more than X's and O's. He got the X's and O parts, and it is a lot more than X's and O's. But that's when you can kind of lean on assistants, and that's when you have a full staff with you. But also, I don't think that JJ is afraid to get up in players' faces. I mean, JJ, he has that I would say, I don't want to cuss on here, but that asshole mentality. He definitely has the asshole mentality. He definitely has that villain mentality from his back in his Duke days. And you could see it. You could see it under him. And sometimes he lets it off. I don't know if you guys watch First Take, but every once in a while, he'll just go off on Stephen A. Smith, or he'll go off on on the old man in the three, whenever he's like debating with somebody about something that he really believes in. I think he's the type of guy where he's going to stand on business, to be honest.
I love it how somebody comes in like Super Z. He hasn't come in for a week or so, and he just comes in, I told you so.
Super Z.
Okay, first of all, what did you tell us?
Come on, Super
Everybody
Z.
has forgotten. I've received and gotten like 1,000 comments since the last time you said whatever it is that we're supposed to remember. And it most likely, we probably already said it 10 or 15 times over before you even said it. So
come on, Super Z.
We don't even know what that is. I told you so. What did you say? We don't even know. It boggles my mind. Like, we're supposed to have like these pinpoint memories in the chat, just like, we are blessed enough, John, to have people that post, hundreds of messages each and every show. Here we're supposed to remember the single one that you put out there maybe a week or 2 or 3 ago that, I was right all along. So, okay.
And you know what's crazy, Gerald? You know what's super annoying is people will be like, "Oh, told you guys were going to lose to the Denver Nuggets." Are you guys like respectfully, are you guys dumb? Like, I don't even think that we as Lakers fans, on my Lakers channel, Lakers Corner, if you haven't checked it out, please go check it out. It's on YouTube. I dropped a series preview before that Lakers and Nuggets series. And I myself, as a diehard Lakers fan that has not missed a game since 2009, I said, yo, guys, We are going to lose to the Denver Nuggets in 5. It's going to be Nuggets in 5. So I hate it when people just think that.
Well, we said that all season that
Exactly.
if we ever run up to the Nuggets, it was going to be hard. But we played better against the Nuggets than I thought, and we had every chance to win this series. We just didn't make we made the mistakes. But let's get into it right now. We're waiting for Joe to come on, and he could talk about JJ a little bit later on. But let's talk about the NBA playoffs. And once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is John Costa from Lakers Corner Clutch Talk. Please support him today. Like and subscribe to go ahead and make sure you got the latest notifications on when he goes on the air with his great stuff and we go on the air with ours. One of the things I do want to ask you is about today's game. First off, it is something that you and I are both very interested in seeing in regards to Minnesota and Denver. Minnesota without Rudy Gobert, who is most likely going to be the defensive player of the year. Didn't need him. They ended up playing better defensively. And this is something I told everyone out there, and there is definable proof. It's not just in some chat. It's actually on the air. I said if Minnesota could guard the way that they guarded Phoenix in game 3 and game 4, they've got that series. They would win this series. And I tell you what, if you saw tonight the defensive clinic that Minnesota put on, they look better defensively without Gobert than with Gobert. That's what's most amazing. They looked, long, they're quick, they're fast, young, and athletic. And John, all they had to do was hit enough shots.
Subscriber, huh?
Wow.
Cool.
Thank you, Paul, for subscribing. All they had to do was hit their shots. They did everything. They did not even need a great game from Anthony Edwards tonight because their defense was that good. Your thoughts on tonight's big victory to put Minnesota up 2-0 heading back to Minnesota, and congratulations to Rudy Gobert on the birth of his son.
Congratulations to Rudy Gobert. Totally respect your decision, man. But wow, man, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Did the Lakers soften them up? I'm kidding, everyone. No, it was Minnesota is just playing that damn good.
Man, the Minnesota Timberwolves, yeah, they are legitimately just that damn good. And you know, I'm gonna be 100% honest, and that's because I do not mind admitting when I'm wrong. But I had the Denver Nuggets beating the Minnesota Timberwolves prior to the series starting. I had the Denver Nuggets getting to the finals, to be honest with you, when I made my bracket prior to the playoffs even starting. And it had the Denver Nuggets getting to the Denver Nuggets getting to the finals. But man, after I witnessed what I just witnessed in these first 2 games, I can confidently say that I was wrong about the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I think that they will probably come out of the West. And I'm just being 100% honest. The way they are playing is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, you mean to tell me that they had a performance like this without the defensive player of the year, right? And Antoine in the chat said, thank the player. He said, the system, not the player. Now, I want to get into this a little bit because I've had these back and forth sometimes with some of my friends. And the way I see it is that it's like, yes, like they have a system that is a very good defensive scheme. They have a defensive-minded coach that coaches them in that way. But I still think that Rudy Gobert deserves all the credit in the world because that system, part of it when he's in there, is to funnel players to Rudy Gobert, and then all players around the league during the season shot their lowest field goal percentage on Rudy Gobert. In the Suns series, the Suns players shot an average of 35% from the field on players like Rudy Gobert. And we're not talking about no scrubs. We're talking about generational scorers like Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal, if that's how you look at Bradley Beal, even though he's washed now. But what I'm trying to say is I'll give credit to the Timberwolves system, but let's not discredit what Rudy Gobert is able to do out there. And that's why he did he did get the defensive player of the year. But back to the Minnesota Timberwolves, man. I'm gonna be honest, guys. They right now got it all. Like
They
they
play
got it
like
all.
this. I'm gonna say this, John. They will win the NBA championship if they play.
Ooh,
They're better than Boston
Ooh.
when they play like this.
Okay.
Because Boston is remember, Boston is a perimeter-based team, and if Minnesota shuts down the perimeter,
okay. But hold on now. Now, you shutting down a Jamal Murray that's already kind of hobbled. You shutting down Reggie Jackson. You shutting down a KCP that's kind of hobbled is different than you shutting down Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Well, you talked about the Phoenix series. I talked about games 3 and games 4.
But
well, hold on. You've got Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. You called them generational scorers and washed up Bradley Beal. They guarded the perimeter. I mean, they guarded the 3-point line better than I've ever seen a team guard the 3-point line. Now, if they guard like that, that's if, John, they guard like that, they will beat Boston because Boston, is a 3-point reliant team. If they guard the 3 like they guard against Phoenix and they guarded tonight against Denver, they have a chance. It's all based off their offense and execution. Then if they hit their shots on their end on the other side, again, they could really it's like momentum, John. And we see Minnesota, they have a lot of momentum going on. And they're just sometimes it gets like a snowball and it keeps on rolling and it keeps on rolling. And right now it's rolling really in the favor of Minnesota. And it may be really hard to stop them, whether you're OKC, whether you're Dallas, or whether you're Boston or whoever might come out of the East. I'm just saying.
No, and I'm not discrediting that take. That's an amazing take. As far as Boston, I'm gonna be honest. I still don't know if I could see them beating Boston in the 7 games. If KP's healthy, I would need Kristaps Porzingis to be there. He is.
If KP's not healthy, it's really.
Then I don't even. Then I can't even
Horford against Minnesota.
Yeah.
Good luck.
We don't want that. They would definitely need KP to be there. But if KP is there, I do think that can kind of swing, can kind of swing everything. And also on top of that, like I do just want to add, I think scar tissue is a real thing in the NBA. Even Kobe talked about it. This is the Lakers fast break. So I know most of us here, are Lakers fans or whatnot. So in a way, I know we all, whether Lakers fans or not, have respect for Kobe. And Kobe talked about the importance of having scar tissue of been there and being like, all right, I never again want to go through this situation. The Boston Celtics has been there over and over.
He just said he just watched the JJ and Rob podcast. He's sold on JJ.
I'm telling you, One Fly. I'm telling you, One Fly. There's like 6 episodes already on Mind the Game. Go watch all 6. I guarantee you'll just learn some just from that.
One Fly, you remind me of Laker Tom in that sense. He's, JJ, I'm sold on JJ now. Oh my gosh. It's just like, come on.
Come on, Gerald. But Gerald, can I ask you, Gerald, have you watched Mind the Game podcast? I know you're a busy man.
I watch clips of it. I do not watch the whole thing. I don't like player podcasts. Player podcasts are usually very warped as far as how they see themselves and how they see the game. Maybe it's just because I've heard too many clips of Draymond Green's podcast, but I just do not like. I like more analyzation. I like
that's
more.
That's what JJ do, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, JJ, when he gets there with LeBron or he gets there with a player, it just becomes too buddy, mushy, and it's just it's just not for me. I'm more into the reporters or people who cover the league on a regular basis, finding more information through that way.
I hear you. No, honestly, Draymond Green is his just. It's entertainment.
JJ, I know I've seen enough clips to him to understand. I've actually seen him analyze games. I've actually seen him, work color commentary on games already. I understand he knows the game. I don't need to listen to his podcast. I just have to go ahead and listen to him when he's the color guy on the ESPN games. to know that he knows the game. I'm not sitting here and tell you differently that he doesn't. But again, it all comes down to what happens when you go ahead on and start on the sidelines for the first time, John. What happens then? No matter how many assistant coaches, experienced or otherwise, that you get behind you, what happens when you step up for your first gig?
That's true. That's true. And
you have LeBron on closing in on 40. His window is closing shut. Again, I'm not even sure if LeBron and AD are still a championship duo. And that's something that this team and this organization still has yet to ask that question. And if they sign LeBron to an extension, they have asked themselves and answered that question themselves. I'm not convinced it is. But then again, if that's the case, we'll see.
I just think you need. I just think you need a lot of the right pieces around them. Oh, yeah. And like in 2020,
but if you got a $60 million devoted to each year devoted to a 40-year-old player, how many pieces can you actually fit around it?
There you go. LeBron, take a pay cut. And
go ahead, Alan. Anytime, my friend.
Go ahead. Yeah, let us know, Alan. But yeah, I mean that's why if LeBron takes that pay cut, we can get it done because. I really do believe that. This is one thing I did want to say before Alan gets his message up. The Minnesota Timberwolves, the way they're playing defense, and their ability to throw so many bigs at Jokic,
so much length.
Exactly so much length and so many different looks. You get a little bit of Cat, you get a little bit of Rudy, you get a little bit of Naz Reid. You're just constantly. You're not seeing the same thing, so you can't just be like, all right, cool. So this is what they're doing. I'm a game plan to this because every single time down court, they could throw a different look at you, different defensive scheme. And I think that right there is what's going to ultimately be the Nuggets' downfall, to be honest.
Alan has a great question. That was not just a good question, Alan. I'm going to give you props. It is a great question. Is the NBA becoming like the NFL where the young drafted player on a low contract is the best time to win a chip? That answer is yes. As you see with SGA. As you see with Anthony Edwards, both of these guys are under 30. Although SGA's contract is kicking in, you see that they still have a lot of cap flexibility in Oklahoma City, plus a whole ton of assets they can utilize. Minnesota, despite the fact they gave the farm away for Rudy Gobert, remember they with the way they were able to manipulate it with Anthony Edwards, they had that time window where they could build and they could go ahead and add an Akila Alexander Walker, a Naz Reid they could build, and grow him into the team and all their other assets, John. I think what Alan is trying to allude to is correct. It is so much easier, John, before I get it over to Joe, it is so much easier, like the NFL, for a team to win a chip with younger players as opposed to older, more established players on much heavier contracts, John.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't watch much of the NFL. I think basketball is the superior sport. But yeah, I mean, shoot, get these young guys in early and get them rocking out, and you'll have young Anthony Edwardses and young SGAs. Anthony Edwards is 22, guys. It's insane. I'm 25. What have I done wrong in life?
Well, you didn't grow up to 6'7". Go out on the court 12 hours a day. My friend, but you're doing great for us here. But also here today is a good man indeed. It is, of course, the mastermind behind SimBlades, SimBladesWithAY.com. He has been simblading, of course, but he's also Oxide247 at LakersBall.com. It is Joe Soro. And Joe, before we get your thoughts on Minnesota, and if they're finally changing your mind, especially Anthony Edwards, we'll put that to the side for you here. First is the title of this description of this podcast, which is JJ Reddick. Are you like Laker Tom at Laker Tom on Twitter and Lakerholics.com warming up the idea for a JJ Reddick coached Lakers team?
No.
Okay. Why, if you can elaborate?
I can't trust a gentleman who's got some form of intelligence calling out things that aren't true. I think his derogatory comments to the old NBA and even to the '90s NBA.
What I say, John?
I think is not. It's just nothing is worse than a intelligent person who says stupid stuff. Because then you start questioning: is it really intelligence or is it fake? Is he trying to get eyes? Is he Skip Baylessing it? Seems to be kind of a disease these days with trying to shock the audience. Orlovsky, the NFL, he's like the NBA version of Orlovsky. I don't know what they're doing over there other than to maybe just ruffle feathers, which is fine. But I don't. Can he adjust to an offense that's putting the ball through his team's throat? Is he going to be able to motivate guys to box out, game in and game out? Will he be able to command respect from LeBron in an 82-game season? I'm not talking about the first 2 weeks. Everything's easy the first few weeks in anything you do with someone you don't know. What happens after you hit adversity? Are you going to be one of those guys that puts his hands up and starts saying things like, well, you guys are taking these games too seriously, like that numbnuts that was the coach before? A guy that's like that typically will do that stuff that Darvin Ham did. I don't trust him.
And as I told you, John, and as I told you before, Joe, none of this candidates that are out there, none of these candidates are out there just overwhelm me. None of them are just saying, man, we got to go ahead and sign him, man, because he's the best coach out there. I just don't see any coach right now that just is just making anyone do backflips on whether or not the Lakers sign them or not. It just
no, there isn't. And the issue that is it isn't your job. It isn't our job to do that. It's the Lakers organization's job. They're supposed to be preparing and listening and figuring out those things. That's why they own $1 billion industry. It's not your job to fix bugs in a computer or iPhone. That's not your job. You can suggest things. You can say certain things. Sure, they'll hear it. But at the end of the day, we already know what needs to happen. LeBron is known as a coach killer. That's one of his reputations in the NBA. And what I mean by coach killer is he just wants to do what he wants to do under the guise of, well, I'm a team player. And being a team player is overrated if it doesn't work. What is a team player? Kobe wasn't a team player. He was a ball hog, right? But every time you watched him play games, he was winning. Hitting last-second shots. Ferocious. Respected. Feared. So tell me what exactly does that team player stuff mean? What LeBron needs to understand, because he is the leader of this team, he's LeBron James, and he can still play, is he's probably going to have to be the most important part of this selection at this point if he wants to win a championship and if Laker fandom wants to have a chance at winning a championship. It's easy to just say, well, just let LeBron walk. See if he opts out and walks. But he's not going to walk. No one's going to pay him the money that the Lakers can pay him. So get that out of your mind. So you have to look at this from a normal standpoint. Yeah, he's going to be 40. Okay, get that out of your mind too. LeBron's coming back. He's going to play at least a couple more years. Just accept that that's what's going to happen. Now, once you've accepted that something is going to happen, it is your job to then make that situation the best it can be. You're not LeBron James and the mere minimums. You have Anthony Davis, who's in his prime. You have Austin Reeves, who's getting better. You still have D'Angelo Russell, who just broke the Laker three-point record for a season. Yes, we know he didn't show up to the playoffs again half the time, but okay, that's who he is. But can we get him at least for the regular season or re-sign him so that you can maybe use him for something else? the Lakers have to bring everyone back, in my opinion, and they have to get a coach that everyone on that team is going to respect. And it has to be hashed out at the beginning. Whoever that coach is and whoever the GM is, whether it's the Rambis people or Pelinka or Genie or whatever cousin or third aunt or great uncle that's working there, sit your asses down and you talk about, okay, I don't want to hear no bullshit at the All-Star break that you're not happy. You want to win a championship? You're going to need to let the coach, and you're going to need to listen to him when he calls you on practice. So LeBron, this would be what I would do. LeBron, you had a major negative habit this year of whining when you didn't get a call and you left your boys 4-on-5 on breaks. If he, whoever that coach is, calls your ass out in the game or at practice, are you going to bitch out? That's the question I would ask. Are you going to turn into what everyone out there calls you? I don't care what anybody calls me. Yeah, I get that. But that's who you are. And it does affect you. Because those things affect LeBron James, believe me. So what are you going to do to make that situation good? Because if you do that well, you're going to have a better chance at winning it all. And you're watching right now this Minnesota team hit its stride. Kept telling you guys, I'm waiting. Wait. Well, I think the wait is over. I think Anthony Edwards has arrived and the Timberwolves have arrived. And there was no bigger sign than tonight with one of their guns out and completely obliterated the Denver Nuggets at home in a desperate game. So much so that you had Kermit throwing whatever the hell that was on the court. He didn't get ejected. You have Mr. Michelle Brown. Michelle, what's his name? I forgot. Mike, whatever he calls
Michael
himself.
Porter?
No, not him. The coach.
Michael Malone?
I mean, yes, as I said.
I was trying to make a joke there. It didn't work.
Who's your daddy?
So he comes up on in the middle of the court, does jumping jacks, a cartwheel, screams, and then does a black backflip and still doesn't get ejected.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I saw Phil Jackson do this to Bob Delaney. This. And he got kicked out. In San Antonio, with the crowd going nuts on him. And, of course, Kobe shut that up about 15 minutes later, which was actually kind of cool. And with that, you now have another team that looks like it may be here for a while. We jump into that, right, guys? Winning back-to-back championships is impossible, folks. I don't think a lot of people realize that. I think Kobe and Shaq in the early 2000s made it look easy. Kobe made it look easy because he repeated. Hell, even the Golden State Warriors, when they repeated, that 18 team with the stacked Golden State team, dude, they were one game away from getting bounced. If Chris Paul doesn't jack up his hamstring in Game 5, who knows? That would have been the biggest. That would have been like almost kind of like a Patriots 07 team losing. A team that stacked to lose to Houston in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, it's just not. It doesn't.
They were yelling "Wolves in 4" in the arena.
And Denver deserves.
And who's your daddy?
Denver deserves this rub because their arrogance has a little bit of why they're in this position now. This is why it's hard to win consistently. This is why it's hard to predict back to back. It's easy. Oh, well, Jokic is in his prime, Jamal's in his prime, Michael Porter Jr. is doing well. But there were signs that Denver weren't really playing well, even with the Lakers. The only reason why they were able to beat the Lakers because the Lakers don't have any clutch players on the team. And Minnesota is just on a mission at this point. They're ready to go to the next level. And I'm sure Karl Anthony Towns, he's coming into his own now because he's not, standing there by himself trying to lead the Minnesota team. He's got Anthony Edwards with him now. He's got his backup in Gobert. I think this this team is destined right now to get to the promised land. And we're going to need these guys, folks. We need Minnesota to be this team right here, because we can't afford for the green guys to get anywhere near that Larry O'Brien trophy.
Well, I said, Joe, I said it out there. I think if Minnesota plays the defense like we've seen the first 2 rounds, John, I think they are winning the championship. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to start to put it out there. But the thing is, they have to play exactly like they have been playing. So if they've been playing like this, I don't think even Boston can stop them. So, John, I got you back on. So any thoughts to what Joe was saying about JJ, the coaching situation, or the Minnesota Timberwolves, my friend?
The Minnesota Timberwolves are freaking legit, like how we were talking about earlier. The whole JJ situation that we were also discussing. I said this before you weren't here, Joe. I think that he's got the X's and O's down. He's clearly got that. He's got the experience of being a player. But just like I said earlier, it's just so much more to coaching than X's and O's. It's kind of like that analogy they say. It's like, you could train all you want, but once you get punched in the face, everything kind of goes out the door. And that could be the situation with JJ Reddick. But on the same vein, I do believe that you have to give people a chance to fly and flourish. And it's like, are we always just going to sit there and say, oh, well, you have to have experience to be here. You have to have experience to be here. So typical corporate, like corporate America, right? It's like, oh, you have to have experience to get this job. But then, hey, you don't give me the job to get experience. And then as far as the Minnesota Timberwolves winning the championship, they're coming out the West. I can stamp that. I'll tell you that much, because whoever comes out of this series is coming out the West, in my opinion. But I just am not there yet if that they can win the championship. Again, only if Kristaps doesn't play, then they can. But if Kristaps plays, I just don't see it just yet. But
okay. Well, there you go. Well, again, we'll let the playoffs play itself out, but Minnesota does lead 2-0 as they head back to Minnesota. And again, congratulations to Rudy Gobert on the birth of his son. But the other game today, oh my God, how is Jalen Brunson not on Team USA? This just boggles my mind, Joe.
Thank you.
The Knicks, I thought there was a very dubious offensive screen call on Miles Turner with about 30 seconds left. That, we talked about, Joe, you talked about how the refs in the Denver, Minnesota game were not trying to put themselves in it. They were letting physical play go, and they were letting them play. In New York and Indiana, it seemed like 1 minute they were doing that, and the other minute they were calling every tic-tac foul. And at the very end, 30 seconds left, I think with a tie score or was close to it, Indiana had a chance to tie or get going to lead, and they were not given that opportunity because of a very slight offensive screen foul on that, Joe. So your thoughts on the New York's Indiana series? New York leads 1-0. Again, Jalen Brunson, like I said, John, I just don't understand why he's not on Team USA.
He's so slept on.
You'd have less issues with officiating if there was more physicality. It's when it's overly officiated where that line between what a foul is and what isn't is large. So my advice, if I'm Adam Silver, is let these guys play. Well, Joe, we need scoring. We don't want it 88, 83 games. I'm like, okay, I get that, but you'd have less reffing issues. Your greatest era in the history of the NBA from a rating standpoint was the 1990s. Yes, I know Jordan was a big part of that, but Jordan was winning games 89, 86, getting 38 million people watching game 6. So what isn't that what your goal is? How was that? Do you think people, oh man, I scored 80 points, I'm not going to watch this? No, Let them play physical, man. Let them play physical. I actually didn't mind not kicking out Michelle. What's his name again?
Malone.
Malone. There you go. I know his name. I'm just
He got the joke off that time.
See, it's all about timing sometimes. Delivery too. If I was an umpire, I wouldn't kick out the managers like they do so quickly, or the players. I actually would enjoy the argument a little bit more, but that's me. The NBA needs to be, and they know it's the playoffs, so they change the rules a little bit in the playoffs usually, which pisses me off even more.
Yeah.
Why don't you just? That's a Roger Goodell slimy piece of shit move.
I just think of that last minute. You shouldn't let a call like
Yeah,
that.
it's manipulating the sport when you do that stuff. Stu Lance has been saying this since I've been watching basketball in Southern California and been listening to Stu. A foul in the first quarter is a foul in the fourth quarter. Stop changing the goddamn rules. If you
Agreed.
get fouled the same way you do at the last second shot as you did in the first quarter, it's a freaking foul. And that's where things change. That's why they've already diluted the whole point of this. That's all we're asking. Now, if you want to let them play a little rough, I know that when they let them play, I'm not as upset. There's a couple things that go in the viewer's way, in my opinion, or in my view, is the pace is quicker, the game finishes quicker, and you start to get conditioned with that. How is it that in the most physical era of basketball, 80s and 90s, you still had guys dropping 30, 35? So what's your problem? Work harder. Be stronger. Jordan didn't go crying. I'm starting to hear all these guys that were born when John Costa was born talking about the Jordans in the 80s and 90s. I think it's comical, actually, when I hear that. I'm like, okay, what the you know about 80s and 90s basketball? You were born in 2001.
Whoa, chill out.
I'm not talking about you, John. I'm just saying the guys that are in and around your age. What the hell are you? You weren't even alive to say anything. Shut up. You don't hear me talking about the 50s basketball, do you? Unless it's about history. I don't know what the hell those guys were doing back then. So don't talk about something you don't know. Go ahead, John.
No, I just want to say, so like, yeah, I agree with that part where like, I can't touch on much of like what it was like to watch Larry Bird or anything like that. But what I will say is that I think we can all agree talent level is at an all-time high. The skill is at an all-time, scoring is at an all-time high. But part of that though is because the game wants that to be. So the game rewards the offensive players. Like you mentioned the whole Jordan era and how, people will still score 30 and whatnot. But I don't think there was people putting up these numbers on a consistent night-to-night basis. Like, yeah, you'd have players still go for 35. You'd have players still go for a 40 ball. But I don't think you would have ever seen a player like, remember when Luka went for 70? You would have never seen that. Why? Because the rules were different. You can hand check. You know why Luka went off for 70 in that game? If people go back and watch that, the Hawks did not double him. They did not blitz him. He'd come off those screens and they just stayed on their players, and he went off. But part of the reason why they did not double, part of the reason they did not blitz is because when you double and you blitz a player like Luka, you're bound to get into foul trouble because of the way the game is officiated, softer and favorites the offensive player. But I agree though, Joe. Like, yeah, like I can't be speaking to me or anyone, can't really be speaking to what we didn't see. But we could speak to what we did see though, and the numbers never lie.
There's nothing that the guys that are doing right now in the NBA that the guys in the 80s and 90s couldn't do if they were trained to do it that way. They all Alex English, Adrian Dantley, Larry Bird.
I think there was more athleticism
know.
now than then, but
It's tough.
there was some athletic players, of course, during that era as well.
All those guys would have developed. So when someone says, "Whoa, if so and so was in the '80s, he'd get mugged. He would be all weak." I'm like,
I don't like
okay,
those
let's
statements.
talk about that for a second. Are you talking about like taking this guy into a DeLorean and going back there, or are you talking about a guy, his skill set, born in the '60s and '70s and playing? Because I want you to imagine this. Imagine LeBron James grew up in the '70s. He would be he would be Bo Jackson playing in the '80s.
Yeah, he'd be a lot harder.
He'd be mean as God knows what.
Yeah,
LeBron didn't grow up in that era. It's the closer we are to now, the more soft people get because everything has gotten easier as we've gone on. Broke ass people right now have cell phones, 2 cars, and a place to live. That's the definition of broke people now. You go back to the Great Depression, people were eating sand and dirt, literally, to survive. 100 years later, you have people with cell phones and all this stuff, and they're broke. So it's a waste of time other than just kind of having a discussion, right?
Yeah.
In the end, talking about what's going on right now, focusing on kind of the topic at hand here, I think we kind of veered off a little bit. But the head coach of the next coach of the LA Lakers is going to be as difficult right now as it's ever been, which is a very, very bad area to be in. But it's an area that the Lakers have created because of their stupidity. They actually fired and threw under the bus the one good decision that they actually didn't really make. It was a third option who won you a championship. You ruined what you already had that was actually working. I can honestly say it. I'm sure it's on the books here, even though I came in 2021-ish. I don't remember in the 3 years that Frank Vogel was coaching, I don't remember watching those games, even when they were in that huge drought in 2021 where they weren't scoring in 3-4 minute spots before the end of that season where AD got hurt in the first series against Phoenix. I don't remember going, oh man, why isn't Frank Vogel? Why did he do that? It wasn't, because if you watch the game, you can see the difference. There are guys that couldn't score. They just couldn't score. Like Caruso couldn't score. He's not really a guy that's going to be creating there, and AD and LeBron were kind of sort of in and out and all that. But they still had the number one defense that year. And we were crossing our fingers that the boys can get healthy at the right time so they can make a run. And we thought they did. And then all of a sudden AD got hurt in game 3 and that was it. Game 4. But I never remember, I'm like, this is a Frank Vogel problem. Maybe there was a couple games I'm like, man, Frank should have done this. But I never, in the 3 years that Frank Vogel was a coach, going, what the hell is this guy doing? The only thing that maybe bothered me was I think he was too much of a company guy. He always said the right thing. And I was like, Frank, get I wanted him to kind of just like tell somebody. And of course, we just heard, the last game that against Minnesota, he was yelling in the locker room. I think he finally had enough of that team. But the one coach that they actually made a call on that was right, they ruined that. And we could have just kept that guy and not have to worry about this carousel. And you replaced him with a guy who absolutely had no business ever coaching in the NBA as a head coach. Absolutely no business. Terrible Optics terrible, adjustments terrible, attitude towards coaching. Just I've said it over and over again on some of the things he said. I just don't understand how they didn't see it. First interview, you saw it. Oh God, this is a cliche machine. No, give me a break right out of the gate.
Look,
Oh well, again, it's going to be hard, guys. It's going to be hard to find that guy because there's really no one out there right now unless they find a gem. But that gem needs to listen, or I'm sorry, that gem needs to be listened to by the guys. And that's what the Lakers need to make sure happens. They need to get LeBron and AD in that room. Hey, look, are you going to listen to this guy in the middle of the season, towards the end of the season when you're tired? Because LeBron, if you're going to pull some bullshit out again like you always do, this ain't going to work, and you're going to retire 4 rings. So if you want to retire 4 rings and just stat pad, then I'm not going to hire. I'm going to hire. I don't know who the hell can you hire. Might as well have kept Darvin Ham at that point then.
No. No. Look, real quick on that coaching point. A name that I didn't think of earlier. Someone was saying in the chat that I want to give him love, but it won't happen because he's blackballed out of the league. That's Mark Jackson. I think Mark Jackson is a really good coach, but he's just been blackballed out of the league. But real quick though, because Joe touched on the point that I always like to talk about when it comes to like the whole Frank Vogel and that team that we had, and us winning a championship, whatnot. I think that the way that the organization handled that team was just so poor, and that was the exact reason why, from one year, Frank Vogel looked like a mastermind of a coach, because Frank Vogel is a defensive-minded coach. That's why he looked so bad on the Suns, because he had a whole bunch of offensive-minded players and didn't really have players that fit his coaching style. But in 2020, that team was defensive menace. Like we had so many good perimeter defenders. We had, of course, the interior defense that no one could match. We Anthony Davis, Dwight, JaVale. They literally call them the Air Force back there. So we were a crew to be reckoned with then. And the coaching scheme and the way that he coaches fit the player's style. So it was just all great. And then literally the next year, the following freaking year, guys, the Lakers decide to basically try to conform to the way of new NBA, of this new world, which is not playing defense, not shutting people down, but outscoring people. That's when we went with the whole Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza. We went with that whole team. And then Frank Vogel looked absolutely dumb sometimes to me that season. And that was because of how poorly the front office handled that. We went from having a coaching style that fits the players to not. And we had offensive-minded players with defensive-minded coach. Didn't work out. And that's why that's what ended up being the demise of Frank Vogel. So all I'll say is whoever we do end up going with as a coach, like, we need to make sure that their coaching style matches what we have on the roster. And what's sad to say is, like, we're in the middle on the roster. Like, I don't think we're a defensive specialist of a team, and we're definitely not an offensive specialist of a team. So that's that. I just think that it starts with the poor roster construction. And where does that start with? At the top, man. At the top. I say all that to say, Jeannie, you know what to do with this team, man.
Does she?
Or women. No, you're right, Joe. She doesn't know what to do with this team, but we all know what she should do with this team. What Alan, tell me why you disagree, Alan. What do you disagree
she's
with?
Probably she's probably good at putting together slumber parties, maybe.
You said we had a top 3 offense.
Are you talking about just in 2020, or are you talking about this season?
He's talking about the ISO ball. He's talking about this season. He said we had a top 3 offense, but just the ISO ball killed.
The defense killed.
The defense, and I don't believe we had a top 3 offense all season long, brother, because pretty sure that was Celtics, OKC, and
Well, we were, as you're talking about
Minnesota.
3-point shooting, we were finished top 10, finished right around 8th. But I think he's talking about overall, if you include the transition that we created as far as the overall points per game. We were getting up there, not quite to Indiana levels, but we were doing pretty good for ourselves on the offense.
So, Alan,
We
what do you
lost
think?
the day.
What do you think
Yeah.
the Lakers were doing at the end of games if it's not the defense?
Yeah, I don't know.
His reliance, he hated the reliance on the iso ball, which I can understand, which got us out of the second half. So second half.
What do you think Jamal Murray was doing when he was killing us? You think he was playing patty cake with everyone?
No,
he was playing iso ball and he was scoring.
He was also shooting to the Lakers defense.
The defense was
40% or less, I think, in the series. So yeah, he hit those 2 clutch shots. Absolutely.
We've talked about court balance. We've talked about philosophy. We've talked about mentality. We've talked about boxing out. We've talked about grit. We've talked about heart. There was a lot of things missing. Those are
missed free throws. Yeah,
missed free throws. There's a mental game here, folks. We've said that Phil Jackson wasn't an X's and O's guy. He wasn't known for the X's and O's, although he did know the X's and O's, but that wasn't his primary coaching style. His coaching style was getting you to focus in the moment.
Getting in your head
and understanding that this is what needs to get done. Don't worry about the shot until you got to take it. Things like that's why Jordan and Kobe and all those guys were able to do what they did, because Phil Jackson took care of everything else.
Jimbo, I don't know what in the world you're talking about. I am the last guy to be a anti-LeBron. I still think
John is known to not like LeBron. So
again, if you're called anti-LeBron one end, but then called a Lebron stan on the other, cutting it right.
That means you're doing it right, Johnny.
Yeah.
Remember?
Come on, Jimbo. Yeah.
We were called Laker haters and I'm sorry, LeBron haters and
we're called LeBron haters in the chat. We're called LeBron haters in the comment. Then we're called
that means
LeBron
we're keeping it real, man.
Well, hold on, John. We're called LeBron fans in the comments. We're called LeBron fans. And you know what? We're just cutting it down the middle. We're just seeing it as we see it, and we're talking about it as we talk about right here at the Lakers Fast Break. But it is, of course, John Costa from Lakers Corner and Clutch Talk, and also as well Joe Sora from Simblades and LakersBall.com. But before we head on out, guys, I wanted to go ahead and run off a few more things in the NBA news and notes. Joe and John, should the agents of Tyrone Lue and Jason Kidd thank the Lakers for their extension offers that have been provided to them? No? Convenient timing that they were offered extensions right around the time that Darvin Ham was fired and they were on the list of candidates?
Well, I don't know why you would fire either one. One is probably going to get to the Western Conference Finals.
Frank will tell you he's not in love with, and a lot of fans in Dallas State are not in love with Kidd, even though Kidd has got them now in the second round.
I think Jason Kidd slept on as a coach.
Heard
he's a piece of poop of a guy, though.
Remember, he's just a fan. Like all of us. Remember that quote? That quote hasn't aged well. I think that was last year when he said that, Jason Kidd, that he was like a fan like all of us, just watching the game.
Why would the Clippers not re-sign Ty Lue? He's not the problem in LA.
He has a contract that currently runs to 20.
Yeah, that doesn't Kawhi died earlier than we all thought he was going to die.
I'm just saying that the talk of extensions came immediately after their names.
Clippers have bigger problems than Ty Lue. You want to keep Ty Lue because you want to keep that stability, at least in one area. But right now, they're going to probably lose Paul George unless they want to give him a max. And then Kawhi is done, folks. Oh, and by the way, he's going to be playing in the Olympics. He's done. Like Kawhi needs to retire.
They got to put Brunson on that team, Irving on that team. They got to.
Kawhi needs to retire.
Yeah,
I don't see any point in having him back if he's just gonna leg out the last quarter mile every year.
I think you're going to see him and Embiid not make the team, or they're going to just
Embiid at least. Embiid. The thing with Embiid and Philly is. He's still valuable. They just ran into not the right team in the first round, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was injured. But
By the way,
At least
John,
he's
you're now a
playing.
LeBron lover, according to the chat.
Folks, we're not lovers of anyone. I mean, there is admiration to Kobe.
I'm a
Magic.
Lakers fan, and
I'm a
that's what
Lakers
I
fan.
am.
Yeah, I'm a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love Kobe. I love Pau Gasol. Love Pau Gasol. Probably was my favorite Laker between 07 and 2012.
I put the Lakers on my
But
skin.
but
I didn't
I
put
was very
Kobe or
happy.
Shaq or
I
anyone.
was
I put
very
the
happy
Lakers
with.
on my skin.
Yeah, I was very happy with the. That's good, Gerald. You want a pat on the back?
Absolutely, always.
Just here.
Shut up, Joe. Just continue.
Okay,
Continue
good,
blabbing.
Good. Just go get one of those Barry Horowitz jackets with the hand in the back.
No, that you can do that. You do that, don't you?
I'm not a
you're
jobber. I would never be a jobber.
You have one already. You're a self-contained narcissist. So,
that's what people say.
or self-proclaimed, I should say.
I never self-proclaimed it. I just agreed to disagree.
Self-proclaimed narcissist is crazy.
Well, he was called a narcissist in the chat, and he basically spent the entire rest of the show agreeing with that.
You owned it, Joe. You owned it.
I don't know what spending the entire show. I said one comment to it, and then that was it.
Oh, he's been spending a year plus since.
I was sitting there talking about it the whole show. You're mad.
All right, continue on.
Okay, good. So just so you know, you're full of hot air sometimes. But
like
what was I saying now?
See, has no idea what he's saying.
What were we talking about, John?
The coaches. We were talking about Ty Lue and Kidd and all of them.
So I don't know. There was never any indication that this is how
their names were out there.
Their names are out there because these guys are trying to get clicks.
But their agents put them out there so that your guys can get extensions from their own team.
Why would Ballmer get rid of a good coach? That didn't make sense.
I didn't say that. Well, never mind.
I'm not saying you said it. I'm saying everybody got excited over Ty Lue, and I'm like, he's not available. And he's not going to be available. Why would the Clippers get rid of him?
Yeah, I'm right there.
Yeah. Now, as far as Jason Kidd, I don't know about his extension. What if he blows rear end in this round, or they get swept in the Western Conference Finals? Is he still? And are they still going to re-sign him? Like, I don't know. I haven't really. I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of Jason Kidd's coaching, anyways, either.
Well, let me hit you up with this. But so again, we're just trying to run some things down before we head on out, guys. Pat Riley is in the news with his closing comments and I guess his interviews before he, for the Miami Heat before they officially end their season. I guess he said something to the effect of, when it comes to Jimmy Butler, that he needs to keep his mouth shut. I think, as paraphrasing here, trying to scroll down to where he actually said Jimmy Butler should keep his mouth shut if he isn't playing.
Did he say Jimmy Butler or just
he
in
said
jest?
He was talking about Jimmy Butler. He said
I must have saw something else.
Jimmy Butler should keep his mouth shut if he isn't playing.
I don't think he said Jimmy Butler, did he?
I'm going to play the clip right now.
Go ahead.
So, let's see. I'm not going to play it on there for copyright reasons, but I'll check it out. But yeah,
just speed it up to chipmunk voices,
right,
then at least can laugh at it too.
Well, I got. If he did say that, which I'm verifying now. Yeah, the question was fielded to him about Jimmy Butler.
Can you hear it, Joe?
It looks like he did say it.
Okay.
Well,
I can't say I disagree. Yep. Availability is the number one ability to have in sports. And Jimmy Butler, you know how I feel about Mr. Butler's attendance record. He misses games, yet he's coming to certain events.
Man,
looking all healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like Pat Riley caught up on that and hates it too.
I'm the type of dude that it's like, if you're not going to play, you better not even get out of bed. You better not be able to roll over. Because if you couldn't come out here,
you give it an already entitled a-hole athlete, rich guy, actor, whatever. Anyone that's got the attention and is entitled, you give them a little bit and they'll take the whole damn sandwich.
I need my sandwich,
Yeah,
especially
they'll
if
take it
it's a
all.
tuna fish.
So, okay.
So
I mean,
what?
you've got a
And
decidedly old school Pat Riley.
I don't even want to call it an old school. It's called operations.
Okay.
All these butthurt scumbag pieces of shit in the workforce who are upset about going back to work. Okay, you don't want to go back to work? Quit your job then. Well, I can do my job at home. Okay, cool. Who do you work for then? Why aren't they letting you? Because they're being dicks. Okay, then quit. Go find a home. Go find your own job. Go do your own thing. It's the same thing with sports. They've given these guys too long of a leash, and they've taken advantage of it. Now, the NBA got it kind of clamped down a little bit. Hey, you don't play more than 65 games, your ass ain't getting shit. So that was a good start. I like that. And now Pat Riley.
Did they just did that comment right there, Joe, signify that they are probably not going to retain his service?
Well, I don't see anybody giving Jimmy Butler a max contract either.
Okay.
So Jimmy Butler's going to have to come to grips with the fact that he's going to likely have to take a pay cut, and it's likely not going to be in Miami. And I think Miami goes big game hunting after this year.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready for it.
You want me to tell you who goes to Miami?
Who?
Donovan Mitchell.
Really?
This man, yeah, man. Honestly, this man's having to carry the
If
Cavs.
he-
And
serious.
even honestly, guys, I've been saying this for some time. Even if he doesn't lose, I think Donovan Mitchell's to the point in his career where, like,
What if they beat the Celtics?
I don't see it happening, man. This team has no complementary pieces. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are two very similar players. They kind of overlap.
I think I'd get rid of Garland before I'd get rid of Mitchell. Honestly, as good as Garland is, I don't risk what you're. Look what they're doing. Look what they just did. Okay, okay. So he wants to go to New York. That's the word, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think that's going to be the same thing over there with Brunson?
Oh no, I don't think so. Honestly, I think
They don't play the same game.
I think Brunson's a lot better of a facilitator than Darius Garland. I think
he won't go to New York.
He could play a lot.
What I'm saying
better
is there's guys in this league that need the ball in their hands. This whole thing with LeBron, LeBron needs to do this. Look, LeBron, Kobe, doesn't matter who it was, that was a major megastar. They need the ball in their hands for them to be really effective, no matter how much they want to rest or do all that. LeBron has one of the greatest plays in basketball history. LeBron to the basket. And you can't get LeBron to the basket unless he has the ball in his hands. And clear the hell out of the way, right? And what made it great even more is if he had shooters on each side. Something that the Lakers only did for him a couple times in his Laker career. Mind-boggling, isn't it? They never really got that part.
While we do.
But they did sort of get it this year. They did have some, the best shooting I ever saw. But the problem is they took such a dip on defense and had no front line help. This is what you get. I'm going to be curious to see if there's a failure again next year in terms of roster construction, whether this lady will finally get rid of this issue with Rob Pelinka. I think he gets into a hot seat.
And on that note,
if he doesn't put together the right team this summer.
And on that note, Joe, before we head on out, that's one of the last things I wanted to cover. The Rookie of the Year voting took place today, Joe and John. And congratulations goes to Victor Wembanyama for winning the Rookie of the Year. Second place was Chet Holmgren, getting virtually every second place vote. Third place was Brandon.
The last three, the 3, 4, and 5 were all players drafted right after Jay.
No, Brandon Miller was not.
No, I said the last three.
Like after he's saying after Brandon.
I'm sorry, not Derek Lively. Not Derek Lively. The fourth and the fifth.
Fourth and the fifth.
I'm sorry, the third and the fourth. Jesus.
No, fourth and the fifth, because Brandon Miller finished third, and he was picked second behind Wembanyama. But fourth and fifth in the voting was Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Brandon Podziemski, which the Lakers had every opportunity to go ahead and draft. Instead, they drafted the anti-rookie of the year, Jalen Hood-Schifino, who probably had the worst rookie season of any rookie in the league. Your thoughts, guys, on how this showcases, like you just said, Joe, Rob Pelinka's mistakes even more.
You want to take a shot at that first, Johnny?
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've talked about this before. Oh snap! I've talked about this before. The Lakers drafting Jalen Hood-Schifino and missing out on Cam Whitmore, missing out on Jaime Jaquez, missing out on all these guys, Brandon Pod, whatever the frick his last name is, missing out on all these guys, and then drafting Jalen Hood-Schifino and not giving him a chance. Like what blew my mind was you draft Jalen Hood-Schifino, and this is before he got hurt. Okay, this is before he got hurt. When he was fully capable and fully out there, the Lakers played Skylar Mays, a man we picked up off. He was a free agent. He was a freaking free agent. We picked him up and I think dropped him the same season. We played him before we played the rookie that we drafted before all those guys. In my opinion, it was like if this was your plan for the rookie the whole time, there's no reason you shouldn't have went with Cam Whitmore, which I know he had that knee concern, a knee injury situation, because it's like if that's what you were going to do, you were just going to make him sit down. No reason why you shouldn't have went with Cam Whitmore, and then even more to Jaime Jaquez and that Brandon guy as well. It just speaks to our poor front office management. That's it.
Joe, again, they're a fourth and fifth place in the Rookie of the Year voting were two players that the Lakers could have. And Trace Jackson Davis, who I believe was also in the top 10 in voting, was also another player the Lakers could have drafted as well.
I think we've discussed this already.
Oh, but I love rubbing in on how bad Pelinka is. I love rubbing in.
Triple J Podziemski. Yeah, those weren't on the radar at that moment.
Triple J was.
Yeah, well, they were in and around that area, but we didn't know they were going to be that good. We knew that a certain player, the best player available at 17, was available at that moment.
No, Stone like Pods. That was his 10th rated guy.
So it's important that you all understand that Stone knows what the hell he's talking about. So if he pisses you off, that's usually a sign that means you're going against usually what should be.
And we saw signs that Cam Whitmore, the guy that we liked, and actually at that time, you could play that back, who on that day, when that pick was made, who we were asking for, Cam Whitmore, that he looks like he's going to have a future in the league as well. Thank you, John. Appreciate it,
Thank you, guys. I'll be back soon. Thank you, guys. Hey, love you. Love everybody.
Wishing you all the best, my friend. So, Joe?
It's not – it's next year will be the final nail in the 2023 NBA draft for the Lakers.
Okay.
That's when we'll really know. They've given JHS a pass. Is he going to come into next season with something of value? Will he learn how to shoot? Will he learn how to play defense? Will he learn not to clank it off the backboard every time he shoots? It's one of the worst rookie seasons you could see, honestly. I saw two busts, even though you wouldn't really consider a 17th pick overall or a second-round pick a bust. But these are the two worst draft picks the Lakers have made in a while. Complete bombs, unless some miracle happens here where JHS starts to do what I just said he was going to do. They need to get it right on this draft, should they get their pick. And then they need to bring in the reinforcements that are going to matter here this summer as well, with all their exemptions. Otherwise, it's going to be the same old, maybe 46 to 49 wins, play in, and then hope that LeBron and AD can stay healthy, which that's the issue right now is can we expect LeBron to play 71 games next year and Anthony Davis playing 76?
It's a big if, my friend. Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
George Karl is a known Laker hater.
And he said that specifically the other day.
George Karl is a lot like Bill Laimbeer. Every time they interview him, doesn't matter what's going on, he's going to crap all over the Lakers.
Yeah, because he just said, okay, here's the thought. Said the Lakers have been unstable for 15 years and their 2020 title doesn't count. So that's what he said. Yeah. So, we've gone over the 2020 title. Everybody who tries to demean it, whatnot, we could just go back to the Spurs winning in the strike shortened season. There's, again, how mentally fatiguing it was to be in that bubble. It's, again, it is.
I think saying that 2020 doesn't count, coming from a North Carolina alum and a very, very, very good coach in the NBA for 40 years, is a disservice to the NBA.
Yeah, he can't get him out. He can't get the Lakers out of his head, Jimbo.
That is that is an unprofessional, stupid representation of a coach who's a lifer and a guy that was working with Dean Smith. I guarantee you, if Dean Smith was still alive right now and he heard him say that, he would have called him and said, "What the are you doing?" I guarantee it. Dean Smith would have called his ass out. He would have never done that.
So before we head on out, I thought I'd do something that might piss you off, Joe, or may not. The Met Gala took place earlier today. And with it, the usual cavalcade of stars and their very interesting designs, to say the least, as far as the fashion is concerned, because the Met Gala is supposed to be the quintessential event for the fashion industry. And who did we see taking part in the Met Gala tonight than one Ben Simmons? Can't play basketball, hurts his back all the time, is taking tens of millions of dollars away from his various teams that he's been on, i.e. the 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets. Yet he manages to go ahead and show up for a fashion shoot today. Your thoughts, my friend, before we head on out?
Well, it's Tinkerbell going to the Tinkerbell ball.
Okay.
I mean, you've seen you see dudes dressed like.
Okay, I'm glad you stopped yourself. So that's all I'll say. Is because, again,
yeah, that's what that is, right?
Yeah.
Let's make it all nice and cute. Ben Simmons, biggest poontang pie that there's been the last 5 years in the NBA. Plays video games. That's what he's really likes to do, right? And
it's funny because the Australians in our chat are disowning Ben Simmons as we speak.
Yeah, what was it, the Chappelle Show skit where they disowned somebody during the racial draft? That's what Australians are doing now with Ben Simmons. He's as Australian as
yes, Kurt, I am.
As Rick James is Australian. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Again, that whole it's sad too, because I do like Tom Brady. I saw Tom Brady dressed up like one of those felt. He was wearing what looked like a felt.
You mean for his roast yesterday?
No. This was years ago when he was still with what's her name.
Because when he was doing the Met Gala,
he was dressed like he had it looked like he had a felt jacket on, like the ones
like a smoking jacket.
That looked like on a pool table, except black or purple or whatever it was. you want to go to those things. My advice is still try to look like you run the house instead of the yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not a good subject there, Gerald. If I was off air, I'd have
I know you'd be a
much
lot more
more colorful
colorful.
language because
Yeah, you would.
that's how it starts, guys. That's how it starts. You want to you got what is that? Like what is that gonna do? How does that make anything good in my opinion? That doesn't. That would be something you and I'd have to talk over lunch.
That would be something where you get Patreon for. There you go. You get pay extra for that. And he'll tell you,
let's put it
he'll
in
give you that
perspective.
definition.
Let's talk about that. Where does it start?
Here we go.
I don't have any tattoos. Not that I have a problem with tattoos. I'm just saying.
I hope you don't.
I don't have any tattoos. I don't wear earrings. I have short hair. When I go to a wedding, I wear a suit. Black suit, typically. Nice tie, white shirt, sometimes a color shirt. I wear loafers with my suits, not tennis shoes. What's the other obvious one? I don't experiment, and I like women. Is that okay, Gerald?
You can say you like women. There you go.
Good. So I think I got my point across there.
Okay.
And I don't think there's enough of that, folks. You wouldn't see Clint Eastwood in a felt jacket, would you?
I knew when I made this the last subject of the day, I knew I would get.
You see me in a felt jacket? You know what?
A smoking jacket. I could see you in a smoking jacket. That's kind of like.
I honestly, if
having a little bit of.
I want to look like
Joe's
Pat Riley. I want to look like Pat Riley when he was
with a pipe.
When he was coaching.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Armani suits. I'll grow my hair out a little bit, comb it back. I could do that.
Okay.
And let's rock and roll, baby. That's what a man is to me. What you saw with Pat Riley today, that's a man. That's how men talk.
I'm just saying, a smoking jacket, the pipe. I could see Joe with that. A little bit of brandy after an evening, for a nightcap. I could see Joe with that. Yeah.
It's funny. I hear some funny stuff when I start talking about that stuff. They're like,
yeah.
Are you hiding something, Joe? I'm like, no.
And on that note,
that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Met Gala, not. I wouldn't say I wouldn't go to one, but I'm not going to dress like a freaking butterfly.
Because they pay you.
I don't need money that badly.
Okay. All right. But you would go in a suit.
Hold on. Fur coat is a different situation. Joe Namath wore a fur coat.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
That's different. I wouldn't wear one, but that's different.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think a fur coat in the right situation accentuates success.
I think it's more of a I think it's more of a troll type thing too. It wasn't called trolling back then, but I just think
but it is. It's meant to
No, I don't have a problem with long coats.
But you would show up at the Met Gala with a suit. How about that?
Oh,
nice
absolutely.
Suit. Pressed suit.
Absolutely.
All right. Fair enough. There you go. All right. And on that note, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. We will be back on tomorrow to recap what's going on with the playoffs, plus share our thoughts on any Lakers news and notes and ideas. We will go ahead and be here for you. As we continue to go ahead and provide coverage throughout the offseason. Gerald will wear a felt suit. No, only if you're buying it and you're paying me a lot of money, Kurt. A lot.
Remember, guys, Gerald will do anything for money.
I say that. You say that. It may not necessarily be true, but I'll let you believe what you want to believe. So there you go from there. It is, of course.
It's not so much an opinion, Envy. It's more of my definition of a man. And just what it is. It's more about how I feel. It's
I
not
used to
really-
run a Periella store
you-
for suits and all that. I used to wear suits all the time. So don't tell me.
Prince looked like a woman 90% of the time, but I love Prince, right? God rest his soul. He wore high heels because he was 5'1". I have nothing against Prince. Loved his music. Thought he was great, funny, cool. This is more about me. There's just things that I define as something I just would not do. It's not
I wear suits, slacks, a nice dress jacket, tie. I do button down. I don't like as much loose collars. I like button down collars. Solid colors is usually my thing. I don't like usually plaids or pattern. That's the way you should go. You should go black or gray. Sometimes I've done blue. I do blue dress shirts quite a bit. Gray, whites. Yeah, there you go. But loafers, I agree with Joe on loafers. There you go.
I wear black a lot because I'm constantly doing stuff, so I don't want to get dirty.
Envy 213. That's very mean of you to say. I think that's very unkind, sir. And I hope you apologize to me soon before I ban you from the channel for saying.
He won't ban
like
you.
That. You want to watch me?
No,
I can't.
do that.
Okay, because I think that was very uncalled for.
I think it's a joke. Come on.
Well, it's not funny to me. Jokes are meant to be funny, like the roasting of Tom Brady last night. I think that went over as badly or as poorly as the Patriots owner joke went last night.
Why was it?
And my response is going to be
supposed to do.
And I'm going to respond Envy 213 like Tom Brady did to the comedian who's made that joke.
Wait, what happened?
Just look it up, Joe.
It's a roast. You're supposed to be brutal.
Okay, Envy 213. I accept your apology.
God, why'd you have to ruin it? The show was almost over.
I didn't ruin it. I didn't ruin anything.
Eli had a.
Envy 213 said something that
I know Eli
Manning.
I know Eli Manning.
If somebody said no, Joe, if somebody said something inappropriate to you, you get the chance to call them out. Why do I not get the same? I am running this channel. I am hosting this show.
When it's the insults is usually something that's not jokingly. It's more serious.
Well, I took it as an insult by Envy 213. Oh, I did, and I will.
So why'd you think the roast was bad?
No, I didn't say that. I said that one joke was taken inappropriately by Tom Brady. He walked up to the comedian. I thought the roast was great. But yeah, he walked up to the comedian who made the Kraft joke about the massage parlor deal and told him to cut that bleep out.
That's stupid, man. It's a roast.
So I'm suggesting to Envy 213, who made that inappropriate, ill-timed, and unfunny
it's a
joke,
roast,
to cut that bleep
out. I didn't see it. I didn't see the roast, but that's Bush League.
Well, again, he took all the Giselle, but I give him credit for taking all the Giselle Bundchen jokes and the Bridget Moynihan jokes and all the other jokes that were put. I love the Drew Bledsoe jokes. I love the fact that Drew Bledsoe was in there.
If you didn't think you were gonna have Brady have a roast with Robert Kraft if you didn't think he was gonna get a joke from that situation, then you're not smart.
Sports baby, do you want me to just wipe you all out? I can. I get more viewers somewhere else. So it's that simple. Don't test my patience because you will not like the response. And I'll leave it at that.
Bledsoe.
I'm very calm and cool and collected right now, but don't get me mad.
Bledsoe almost had to die for Tom Brady to have a career.
You missed it, Joe. You should watch it on Netflix. It is actually really good. Bledsoe's jokes that he got in on Belichick and Tom Brady, I thought were the best. Yeah. He was the best, I think.
The most brutal one was the Shatner one.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty good. But I think you should check the Brady one out.
I remember watching that. I was like, damn.
I really recommend you watch the Brady one.
That's funny.
JSJ, do you really want to keep that up? Do you guys really want to keep that up?
I'm not
because I'll cancel you all out. I'll I'll time you all out, and I'll have no problems in doing so, and it'll be just fine to me. So don't test my patience.
You just pulled a Tom Brady right now on the show.
I'm gonna do what I need to do, my friend.
You need to
If it
toughen
was
up.
you, I would support you and back you, but I see it go the other way around.
No, you need to toughen up. I apologize for everyone, Gerald. We are sorry. I am not sorry. Well, I didn't say anything, so I guess that's
Well,
why
like Alan, you know what, Alan? I've been here. I commit over 300 days of my life to this channel, and I think I deserve better and more from you guys. Because what else would you be doing with your lives if you weren't watching Joe and I right now? You got to remember that. You guys forget that all the time.
Homelander TV.
I'm the one that does all the work for this channel, not Joe. He just shows up whenever he wants.
Sunday, it's not so much this generation. Every generation progressively gets worse because.
By the way, like, follow, and subscribe.
We figure out a way to not have to kind of suffer. So naturally, the society will get softer. That's really what it is. I'm sure if you went back 100 years ago, there's people then that were like, the kids these days suck. Joe, what's the main issue? Nikki Glaser, I think, was the funniest.
She was good. I like Bledsoe better. I'm just going to say I like Bledsoe because Bledsoe's not a trained comedian. He was, they created those lines for him, and he came off really well. That's why Nikki Glaser was great. I'm not going to kid you, but she is a comedian. She does that for a living 365 days a year. Bledsoe didn't. Bledsoe's been waiting 20 years to do this, Joe. And that's why I think that's why for me it was more enjoyable. I think you should see it, Joe. I think you should go out of your way to see it. I know you hate streaming. I know you hate Netflix. I know you hate streaming, but you should see the roast of Tom Brady.
You should see my new Plex gallery.
Okay.
I was able to transfer all my stuff to Plex. Now you can watch it anywhere you want. You can share it.
Well,
with your
I'm
friends
just saying that's the chat is recommending it, and I'm
well. From what you've told me, I thought it was stupid for him to get upset about the Robert Kraft joke. There's no jokes, especially that
everything's supposed to be on limit. If you're up there for roast, you're going to get roasted for everything. So you got to sit through it. I agree with you.
I mean, shoot,
thought it was over the line.
There was a roast when what's his name was on there who passed away.
Sports Baby. There you go.
Patrice O'Neal. Patrice O'Neal was dying, and they dropped jokes about it a couple of times, and he didn't get all butthurt.
Well, I would love to come to Australia, Sports Baby. I would love to see your country. Your country, from what I've seen, is very beautiful. I know a few people there. I have nothing but fantastic things to say about your company. Well, obviously,
somebody actually watches porn.
Sports Baby says he does.
Like, hey, I gotta get my porn on.
Yeah, I have nothing but great things to say about the country of Australia. So I would welcome the opportunity to go there. So just mute it when Kevin Hart starts talking. He was all right. It wasn't great. It was all right. Kevin Hart is everywhere, though. I think that's why. People are getting tired of him, because he's just everywhere.
Just like anything else, if you start seeing people too much, The Rock is starting to feel that now.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith for a while was that guy too, and he went the way he went. You want to keep, and this is the problem. This is the problem with money and people. You get so fixated with money that you forget quality. You want to be like the Entourage show. Remember how it was only 22 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Every time. And the reason why it was great that it was only 22 minutes, 23 minutes, 24 minutes, is that they always left almost every episode with you wanting more. You always want to leave the audience with wanting more. You have to master that. Daniel Day-Lewis is probably the greatest at doing that. But
the Mannings were there in spirit, and they were also there as part of the punchlines as well. So
what was Eli's tweet? It was I would have been there, but I didn't want to roast you three times.
Yeah,
I thought that was a good one.
Yes. And of course, Peyton was, talked about as well. And yeah, they went through that. So yeah, again, I think it was pretty good. So if you get a chance, watch it. I know since we have a lot more time on our hands with the Lakers not playing, I want to check it out on Netflix.
I just think it's hilarious that Brady won 7 Super Bowls, went to 10, and the 3 he lost were 2 to Eli Manning and 1 to Nick Foles. That's how you know there's a balance somewhere.
He is not a Hall of Famer, Alan, but is Eli a Hall of Famer to you?
He will be in Hall of Fame, yeah.
Well,
To me, he's not.
I know he will be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
No, not at all. No.
Like you talk about with the Hall of Fame.
And the thing is, if he gets into the Hall of Fame, I think Jim Plunkett will get in eventually too, because he's a 2-time Super Bowl winner as well.
I like Jim Plunkett more than I like Eli. So okay, I'll give you that. But yeah, I don't think their regular seasons just don't add up as far as
Black. I don't think Ben Affleck is in that same situation. I think Ben Affleck's issues have been substance abuse, because he's a ridiculously talented guy. Like, he can direct and act.
All right, look at last year with the Nike movie.
Yeah, and that movie didn't. Yeah, it was
didn't make enough money, but it's still very well thought of.
Yeah. I think Mahomes. I think right now this run, because the Chiefs, if the Chiefs, if their draft picks really help them, there's a very good chance they could win it all. There's a very good chance they could three-peat. Although I'm kind of curious on whether this stadium deal is going to jack some things up.
Feeling any better on your Dodgers? Now that
I'm feeling very, very good right now.
They swept the Braves. Ohtani leads the league in homers.
Ohtani is an absolute machine.
They just should have traded him when they had the chance.
I don't think anybody was going to trade for him.
I think they would have.
Who?
Are you kidding me? You throw up if the Angels had put up Trout and Ohtani 2-3 years ago. Or 3-4 years ago. That's what that's how long I've been saying. I've been saying it before you got on the air, Joe, with us, was that they should have traded Trout and Ohtani. I made Jamie mad one time because I said that long time ago. Yeah, because he's an ardent Angels fan. I am a casual Angels fan.
Why do you keep pissing off Jamie and Tom? What are you doing over there?
I don't know.
The only reason why Ohtani went to the Angels is because at that time
I'm just
the Dodgers
saying,
didn't have a DH.
Years ago, Angels should have traded Ohtani and Trout for a package of players because they're so bad at their minor league development, their player development, their free agent choices that they've made. Absolutely just abysmal organizational running. It's even worse than the Lakers. So we'll leave it at that. Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks so much for watching this thing. Sean didn't come by tonight. I'm surprised. Maybe it's a little too late for him.
Well, maybe had company.
Yeah, maybe he did. But we'll see. Maybe you can jump on with us tomorrow as we talk Lakers and see if we can talk the NBA playoffs as well. There's still more games to come. But it is very enjoyable to see Minnesota manhandling the Denver Nuggets. I don't see Mike Malone talking about who's your daddy now with Timberwolves up 2-0, even without the defensive player of the year, Rudy Gobert, in the lineup. So, yeah. Sunday, you know what? Absolutely. We'll see what we can come up with. We'll get a Lakers history episode up for you here in the not too distant future. We'll talk about it and get some episodes back up again. Because I know there's a certain segment of our audience that does like Lakers History 101. So
yeah, we'll do history, and then we're going to be doing some next level stuff too with the voters in the NBA. I want to start creating some noise with these voters now that the awards are coming in. Okay. We need to call out some of these clowns.
And then we will be televising. Or not we will be televising, but we will be following the lottery on playback. We'll do a playback on the NBA lottery, which will be enjoyable, coming up on the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely looking forward to that as well. I know the Lakers aren't involved with it, but still, just like to go ahead and share some stuff with our fellow NBA fans and talk about what's going on with the draft and see if the Lakers do actually keep the 17th pick in the NBA draft. But we will not know that until the end of the month. Actually, June 1st is when the Pelicans can decide whether or not they want to pick it up. Yeah, JSJ, right now, Alexandra Sarr is not the definitive choice. It is right now another player out of Europe. I want to go ahead and pronounce his name correctly. It is Zachary Risacher. I've seen his videos. He looks really good. 6'9" player. He's got a nice jump shot. Decent size, 6'9", 200 pounds. I like Sarr a little bit better, but there's no one that stands out right now as far as the number one pick. There's no one that stands out that screams he's going to be an all-star for 10 years right now. What's going on in France these days, Kurt? You tell me. I mean, because right there, French players, Risacher, Alexandre Sarr. Yeah, some good stuff going on in France. They should play very well in their home country for the Olympics. And if not, oh well. I think the U.S. will take it anyways. But yeah, that's something to be able to watch out for Team Canada as well. So we'll see.
Kurt, I'm sorry, Sports Baby. We heard this last year with Denver, guys. Dynasties don't grow on trees.
Once the extensions kick in and
extensions will kick in, people want more money, depth will go away, and then also when you're full, you tend not to be as hungry, obviously.
And I've talked with Joe about this. Joe, again, when he's talked about the Lakers, depth has been an issue there. You see what they have in Minnesota. They bring in a Naz Reid, a Nikhil Alexander-Walker, even a Kyle Anderson. Guys with size, length, athleticism, and in the case of Naz Reid, a jumper. Nikhil Alexander-Walker can hit the jumper from the outside. So, yeah, they come in with depth, with 8 guys, Joe. 8 guys that really can make your life miserable around the edges.
Well, things are going to change next year, folks. Anthony Edwards is making $13.5 million right now. His salary will be going up to $35. So my question to the Minnesota management is, are you willing to pay McDaniels or Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert close to $130 million?
Well, first of all, they got to figure out who their ownership is going to be going forward because they have that issue they got to work out. But yeah, Cat is probably the player that
more than that, maybe.
Pardon?
They're paying. They're going to be paying 4 guys almost 140 to 150 million.
A Cat, well, if they don't move Cat.
I seriously doubt if they win it all that they're going to move Cat.
A good point, but he gets in his main deals. He gets in foul trouble really quickly, but he was able to avoid it for the most part in today's game.
Lethal tonight.
Yeah, he was. I give him all the credit. Again, they played a masterful game, and they frustrated the hell out of Denver tonight. It was beautiful to watch, to see how pissed off they were. And how, like you said, you talk all that trash for a year now, who's your daddy and all that stuff, and it comes right to bite you back on the ass when somebody comes along that does something better.
So he's a bigger dog sometimes. Again, we're going to see if they win game 3, then it's over.
Yep. And we'll see. But I still think, again, if they defend like this throughout the rest of the playoffs, they're going to be a very tough.
Whatever it takes, as long as Celtics don't win. If the Celtics don't win it, then
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters right now, because that's the last of this thing for this year. I don't care who wins it, honestly. I don't care if it's Denver, Minnesota, New York, Dallas. I don't care.
But we'll see. Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Gerald Glassford along with Joe Soro. It's past midnight for us, so I think it's just time to pack it in. But please go ahead and check us out as much as we're here, as long as the chat is nice with us. See? Kurt, I think he's out through the second round. They did not go any further than that, which he'll probably come back sometime around the conference finals, is my guess. It's when they said they would reevaluate it. But they definitely said he was out the second round, was what their initial thoughts were. So we'll see. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorno and Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Yep. Well, Xbox, we had a little bit more to talk about, including Ben Simmons at the Met Gala, which your countrymen Xbox had a lot of issues with as well.
What?
So,
The Met Gala?
yeah, because they don't like Ben Simmons now. So
Yeah, Ben Simmons deserves every ridicule you can have. He's a disgrace to the sport. He's a disgrace to business. He's the entitled POS that I've been talking about.
Sunday, Joe already said he was going to sign. He thinks LeBron's going to be for at least a couple of years.
Oh yeah, LeBron's not going nowhere, folks. Not even close.
If you can make $60 million, why would you want to leave?
Yeah, and he'll get every dollar.
Yeah, whether we like it or not. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sora and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching. This big shout out to John Costa from Lakers Corner and Clutch Talk. Please support us and support all of our great channels. It is greatly appreciated. And once again, thank you again. We'll be back hopefully tomorrow with more good stuff on the Lakers and the NBA playoffs right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Have a great evening, everyone, and stay safe.